Welcome to part one of day one's workout. So this is the equipment you're going to want to have on hand. A Pilates ball for the kneeling squat and clamshells, a mini band, a yoga block, a long resistance band, and then optional is going to be a foam pad and a chair for the band and good mornings. So part one of this workout is going to include 2 rounds of 30 seconds each of a kneeling squat, a clamshell with both external and internal rotation, and then a banded good morning. So with the kneeling squat, you're going to want to put a foam pad underneath your knee. You can either use a mini band around the wrist or you can squeeze a Pilates ball between the hands. So just choose whichever variation works best for you. So let's get ready. So exhale, extending the hip as you inhale to sit back. As you exhale, we're going to think pull that mini band apart or squeeze the ball between the hands. As we come up, we want the shoulders to be stacked over the hips, so we don't want to push those hips too far forward, trying to maintain that neutral spine. 10 seconds to go. Exhale, come up. Inhale, come back. Don't feel like you need to rush through these reps either. You can just do 1 rep every few seconds and 2, 1. Let's get ready to move on to the next exercise. So we're going to take the mini band and put it above the knees. So put it between the feet, bring it up above the knees, and then we're going to lay down on our side, grab that Pilates ball, and you're going to bring it underneath your hand, and then you're going to put the yoga block underneath that bottom ankle. So let's get ready to get started. So exhale, push down into the ball as you spread the knees apart. As we spread the knees apart, we want to ensure we're not rolling backwards to where the hips are no longer being stacked with one another. Know that this movement may not be a huge movement, and that's totally fine. Exhale, press down in the ball as we separate the knees at the same time. Inhale to let it come back down. Again, we don't have to rush through these repetitions, taking your time to really focus on coordinating your breath to movement. Get ready to switch to the internal rotation one. So now bring the band around the ankles, and then we're going to bring the yoga block between the knees. So we're going to put it between the knees. So keep that Pilates ball where it was before. Exhale, press into that ball, squeeze that yoga block as you separate the ankles from one another. So exhale, spread the ankles, inhale, let them come back together. Really focusing on squeezing that yoga block between the knees and pressing down into that ball as the ankles come apart. Taking your time with each repetition. There is no need to rush by any means. We have just a few seconds left on this side, and then we're going to transition to the other side with external rotation. 2, 1. Let's get ready to switch to the other side. So take that mini band and bring it above the knees now. We're just going to flip to the other side, putting that yoga block underneath the bottom ankle, and then bring that Pilates ball down by the rib cage again. So coming down onto your side. So exhale, push down to the ball as we separate the knees from one another, ensuring that those hips stay stacked with one another. So we're not rocking back in the hips at all. This may not be a huge movement by any means. Exhale, spread the knees apart. Think lift up in that pelvic floor. Inhale to release. Exhale down. Inhale to release. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's switch to internal rotation. So take that mini band and bring it around the ankles, and then we're going to take the yoga block and put it between the knees. So your Pilates ball is still in that same spot. So exhale, press the knees together on that yoga block as we separate the ankles from one another. Inhale to release. Exhale, spread those ankles apart. Inhale to release. Really want to focus on squeezing that yoga block with each internal rotation. Really big inhales, exhale, 10 seconds left on this side, and then we'll move on to the next exercise. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So go ahead and take that mini band off your ankles and get ready to grab the long resistance band, and we're going to form a triangle around the feet and the back of the neck. So step through the band, and then we're going to bring the head through. And then we want to focus on inhale to push those hips straight back to the wall behind you. Exhale to come up. Inhale, hips back. Exhale to come up. You should feel a big stretch in the hamstrings as you bring those hips back. Focus on not trying to bring the hips back towards the floor, but rather to the wall behind you. So you can use a chair to give you some feedback to keep those knees more stacked. We're trying to keep those shins a little bit more vertical. So inhale, push the hips back. Exhale, bring the hips forward. So moving on to our second round, come out of the long resistance band and then grab your foam pads so we can return to those kneeling squats using either the ball or the mini band around the wrist. Exhale to extend in the hip, inhale to come back down. Think really active with that squeeze, ensuring that the shoulders are stacked over the hips and that the hips are not coming in front of the shoulders. So trying to maintain that neutral spine. Exhale, come up, inhale, back down, taking your time with each repetition. Don't feel like you need to rush through these. We're not focusing on trying to get as many reps as possible. We're focusing on quality reps. Now moving on to the clamshells, grab your mini band and bring it above the knees, and then the yoga block is underneath that bottom foot. Now grab the Pilates ball and we're going to exhale to spread the knees apart as we press down into that Pilates ball. Exhale to spread, inhale to release, focusing on keeping those hips stacked with one another. Again, we're focusing more on quality over quantity, so taking your time really focusing on coordinating that breath to movement. So exhale, spread the knees apart, inhale, release, focusing on a strong exhale, lift up and in with that pelvic floor. Get ready to switch to internal rotation. So take the mini band and bring it around the ankles and then put that yoga block between the knees. So we're going to exhale to squeeze that yoga block between the knees as we separate the ankles from one another and then pressing down into that Pilates ball. So exhale, feel very active, lifting up in that pelvic floor. Inhale to release. Exhale, separate the ankles from one another. Inhale to release. Taking your time with these repetitions, so really focus on moving to exhale, lift up and in with that pelvic floor. Inhale to release. Exhale, separate the ankles. Inhale to release. Now let's switch sides. So we're going to flip over to the other side, bringing that yoga block down so that we can bring the band above the knees. And then we're going to put that yoga block underneath the bottom ankle. So grabbing your Pilates ball, exhale, spread the knees apart as you press down into that Pilates ball, focusing on quality over quantity. So you may take your time with all these repetitions, really focusing on coordinating that breath to movement, feeling your pelvic floor move. Ensure that those hips stay stacked with one another so we're not rocking back at all with each repetition. Exhale, spread the knees, inhale to release. Now take the mini band, we're going to bring it around the ankles to do our final internal rotation clamshell. Take the yoga block, put it between the thighs, grab your Pilates ball, and then exhale, spread the ankles apart as you press down into that yoga block with the knees. Exhale to separate the ankles, inhale to release, focusing on quality reps over quantity. So don't rush through these, really focus on exhale, lifting up and in with that pelvic floor. Feel those lower abs turning on, pulling belly to spine. We have just a few more seconds here on this side. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and take off the mini band and grab the long resistance band to move on to the final band in good morning. So form a triangle with a band, stepping both feet in and then putting your neck through. You can use the chair to give you some external feedback so that we can keep that vertical shin position. So exhale, push those hips towards the wall behind you. Inhale, bringing those hips forward, focusing on feeling that stretch in the hamstring as we drive those hips back. Keep the shoulders stacked over the hips at the top. We want to focus on hips back as opposed to down. Keeping the shins vertical can really help with that hamstring engagement. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And this concludes part 1 of the workout.